Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Josh. Welcome back to another toy review, and today we're here to take a look at the Ultra Monster Series number 72, Ace Killer. First appearing in the 5th entry of the Ultra Series, Ultraman Ace, appearing in episode 14, The 5 Stars Scattered in the Galaxy. So, just like every other episode in the show, you have the evil alien Yapul sending out a whole bunch of like these weird like looking creatures. They're also dubbed terrible monsters because I'm assuming that was like a creative decision somewhere. I don't know. So of course Ace Killer is of no exception. He's basically like a cybernetic entity out to kill Ultraman Ace, as well as trying to, I guess, somewhat kill the other Ultraman. I don't know. It's such a weird episode because he basically captures the previous Ultraman. So Ace is like, trying to rescue them and they're fighting in outer space and stuff. I gotta say, definitely one of the most awkward fights I've ever seen in the series because I don't know if it's because they're in outer space, but they fight like super slow. Honestly, that's not even the weirdest thing. It's the fact that the 4 Ultramen that were captured, they're all crucified. So I'm like, okay, wouldn't that cause controversy? I mean, I don't know. I mean, religion in Ultraman, that's not really a thing, as silly as that might sound. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this show was bizarre, so of course it only makes sense that you have like a very, very weird ass like monster to go with it. Even though this one seemed pretty basic design wise. So surprisingly, when it comes to Ace Killer, he's not as popular as some of the other like villains within the series. In fact, he hasn't really appeared that many times. I know he did reappear in Ultraman Mebius, where he was converted to Mebius Killer, with the only main difference is that his eyes are blue. And then I know eventually they did made a Z Killer. So okay. Yeah, I'm done talking about his history. Let's just, all right. So before we jump right into the figure, as always, with Bandai, when they made these are the the vinyls. These don't typically come in a package. They just come with like their little tags and all that. So we got this nice, neat little picture here of Ace Killer, which he looks pretty sweet. Not gonna lie, I like the way he looks here. Just right to the point, no other BS. And as you can see at the bottom of the tag here, it says Bandai 2015 because obviously this was, this was like kind of sort of right at the beginnings of their toy line, pretty popular. Surprised how they've lasted that long. I mean, they're still going to this day, but very rarely do you see like the year down here because sometimes I could be wrong. If you get like re-releases of the figures, I don't know if the year stays the same at the bottom of the tag or not. I just thought I just sort of mention that. Yeah, and of course, obviously, he's, they give him like a weird number 72, because I don't know. That's on Bandai. I don't know how they really do that, but it is what it is, I guess. So, of course, we got the inside of the tag with nothing in it. We got the back. I don't think we gotta really focus on that. So let's just get right to the figure because there's actually a lot to go through. So hopefully this doesn't end up being like a 20-minute toy review. But I can't promise that. So let's just go over how he looks, paint wise, and like how accurate he looks towards, the show and all. Also, I do apologize if you do see like a weird blue shine. That's just because I got my window open. So, gotta get some extra lighting somehow. So of course, typically when it comes to these figures, most of the time they actually do a perfect job of portraying how they look in the show, with some exceptions here and there. But unfortunately, there are a couple of things that we need to talk about. I'm not even gonna show you the back yet. I'll explain why. But one big thing I do want to talk about here, even though the sculpt for everything seems perfectly fine, it looks great. Doesn't really seem like any sort of like, how do I say it? Nothing that stands out per se, except for one little thing, and that's with his left hand. So obviously in the show, his hands are supposed to be like kind of big. Like he had like these weird like long fingers and all that. And obviously it's not portrayed well at all in the figure. It just looks like he has an open palm, which I mean, I get what they were going for. So okay, E for effort, I guess. And it's perfectly fine if like, one is close-fisted and the other one's open. I think that's okay, but it feels less like he's gonna like slash and all, and just more like he just want to gives you like a handshake. He's like, hey, hey there, buddy. You know what I mean? He's like, I don't know. I don't really know how to really explain it. It's not accurate, obviously. You know, it honestly just looks like he has like an open palm hand. So I don't know. It's like, what the hell am I supposed to do with that? I was even messing around with him earlier, and I was like, can he hold one of the tags? Is that like an action feature or something? I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, from time to time, Bandai does that. They do make, you know, a couple of like their Bandai figs with action features and all that. But that I won't really get into too much because I don't know too much about those. Most of them are associated with like Ultraman Blazer and all that. For those of you Tokusatsu fans, you know exactly what I mean. But besides the point, I don't know. That's kind of the only big thing sculpt wise. That's a bit of a bit of an issue there. Would have been nice to at least be maybe slightly bigger. And I had to look back too because I know that in Ultraman Mebius his hand was like really big, so I was like, okay, maybe that's more of an Ultraman Mebius thing and not an Ultraman Ace thing, but no, I'm right. No, it's supposed to be that big. Not that it really matters. I know that he does have like a weapon in the show too, and obviously when it comes to these figures, they don't really have that. Obviously, you know, they're like straightforward. They're like just a figure, and then that's about it. And I knocked this poor guy over. Also, yeah, sculpting wise, you know, that's the only sort of downer with it. I can forgive like the spike parts not being like super tall and all that. I think that's fine. That's not annoying or anything. In fact, when you zoom in on the face and all, it's very good. I mean, I love the detailing and all that with all the lining and all that, and the gold shines really nice. I don't know what it is. I have the figure in my hand, and it's like it's okay. You could tell that it's supposed to be a bit of a shiny gold paint, but now that I'm zooming it in on my phone and all that, just kind of looking at it, it's like, wow, you could see where it really does shine, and I do like that a lot. That's really great. I don't know how they do stuff like that, but you know, I'm glad that they at least did that instead of just like a soft paint. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. I mean, I think maybe if I compare it to like King Joe, I guess we'll do like a, you know, who's a more shinier sort of comparison. And of course we got the bottom of the feet, you know, that's where they used to put in the weird little symbol thing, but obviously a lot of these don't have that anymore. So despite the tag saying 2015, his foot says 2014. I'm trying to focus on that a little bit just to kind of show you, because I don't know. I mean, it's not focusing, but you know, you get the idea. You're gonna have to take my word for it. Now, notice up to this point, I'm showing you the figure in the front, right? Well, it pains me to do this, but it was gonna happen. I told you guys, you didn't believe me. The back, wow, like just wow, like without exaggeration, where do I even go with this? There's so many like parts that are unpainted. It's not the worst. Surprisingly, no, there are actually worser figures where the back is just completely unpainted. But this is a first for this channel, for sure. You know, I mean, we've seen some figures with parts that should have been painted and all that, but this, I don't know what happened here. They clearly didn't finish, and I can't help but question how does that even work. I mean, first of all, the elbow pads or the armor, whatever you want to call it, they're not painted. You could very obviously tell. I mean, the back portion is like, oh no, that's like, come on now. It's weird too because they painted this, they painted his armored skirt, but they didn't even bother to paint like the middle portion, like on his back and all. Again, I don't really know how that goes. That's just like, no. But then to make things even more worse, if I lift up his arm, you'll notice that you see where that gold paint is on his front chest. It just stops, not even halfway through the skull. It just randomly stops. So I'm like, wait a minute. Why'd they do that? For cost effects? I don't know. There's a lot of later ultra figures that have like spectacular paint. So again, I'm really not sure what went wrong with this. And of course, you know, you can only really like dive into it so much before like your brain just gets scattered. I mean, I don't know. I'm like staring at this and I'm like, oh. And I mean, just to kind of give you an example as to how unpainted he is, take a look. Here's a picture of how he looks. You know, I mean, this is a set photo, obviously, but to kind of give you an idea as to how much like paint was left over. And again, I don't have any answers for why they would do that. I mean, again, normally we would say that it would probably has to do with like cost effects and all. Maybe they don't have too much money, they don't want to waste so much on the paint, they want to save it. I don't know. Sometimes those factors do play within the toy industry and all that. You'd be pretty surprised. But it's not like this toy line was flopping or anything. It's still going on to this day. So I really don't know what happened. And even on the knee pads too, you'll notice that the front is painted, not the sides nor in the back. So it's like, ouch, And even the feet. I mean, okay, I guess the feet is somewhat forgivable. I'm not, it kind of sucks too when you think about it, because I know that before the Ultra 500 series, or just the Ultra series in general with the toy line, I know they did made a couple of like old Ace Killers where they were completely painted. So I'm not exactly sure what went wrong. Again, I mean, I'm sorry for saying that a lot. I know I'm being very negative right now. At least I can say that the detailing is somewhat fine. It's okay besides the hand thing that is annoying, but besides that, the sculpting and all that is perfectly fine. It's just the paint where it's just so whack. I mean, I like in the front it doesn't look bad, but even when you turn it slightly to the side, that's where you start to kind of see like, ooh, like that. I mean, I can at least appreciate the gold paint and even like the greens, like on his chest and all that. It's like a emerald green, honestly. I don't know why it looks kind of blue when I'm looking at it through my camera, but I could definitely say for sure it's definitely meant to be a green color. Look at the pupils on that. It looks nice. The face is like like the best thing about this figure, honestly. It's weird that they put so much detail here, but then not everywhere else. I mean, he looks fine, but again, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. I'm even debating in my head like what score should I really give this. I mean, it's not the worst paint job I've seen, but I don't know. It just feels really weird in this case, especially with the side too, like how you could just very easily spot that it's unpainted. But you know what? For that, let's just go over the articulation. So articulation on these guys, obviously they're very limited. So of course, because he has the same structure as the the Ultraman figures, obviously he has just the same like 3 points. He could move his arms. You could kind of move the waist a little bit. It's possible to move it like a full 360, although sometimes I don't recommend it, only because it is pretty hard and all that. That's the reason why it's so hard to kind of move them around. It's because of the extra bit of plastic that's inside the figure. I did took these apart at one point just to kind of investigate and look at them, and basically what they do is that whatever, like the extra piece of plastic that they have, it kind of looks like a skirt. So because of how wide it is, you can literally just insert it, because these figures come in 2 pieces in the factory. You can literally just attach it together, and then you would never have any issues like taking it out or whatever. Not sure how it was like that, years and years ago before this toy line. I don't know how they did it in that scenario, but that's how they do it now with some of these. So yeah, just thought I kind of point that out. So besides the basic articulation, let's of course do a comparison. So I talked about King Joe already. I talked about who's the most shiny and all that. I mean, I think it still goes to King Joe, but that's only because he's just completely made out of gold. This is a great figure, by the way. I did make a review of him a while ago, although that was when like almost sort of the beginnings of this channel. So I'm not gonna lie, the toy review was kind of cringe, but it is what it is. You learn from your mistakes, but still looks pretty cool, don't get me wrong. I was even debating fixing my collection a little bit and like setting up the characters by colors, because they do look very nice. They complement each other very well. You could kind of tell that the gold, like this one's like a very like brightish sort of like yellow involved too, while this one is like pretty how do I say it? I don't want to say dark because that makes no sense, but I'm just saying, just by looking at it, you could kind of see like the colors that they go from like like highs to their lows. I'm trying to think of the perfect I'm trying to think of like the right definition for it, but it's been a while since I had an art class, so I apologize. But they do look very cool together. So I guess let's compare it to some other kaijus. Let's show him with Telesdon or Telesodon, whatever his name is, this man with the weird smile and a half, the little grin. I mean, that will never get old. Looks pretty cool. Obviously, because, you know, like I said, he has like a specific structure with him. So, of course, he's going to look a lot more taller than everybody else. So, of course, if you compare him to Ultraman and all that, he's going to look decently sized. That's actually perfect. Like, the sizing is great. That actually kind of saves it. That actually saves the figure a lot, if we're being honest here. Even the hands too, I just noticed they almost align perfectly. But then again, let's just kind of compare him with the other Ultramen, because like I said in the episode, he captures, well, I wouldn't really say captured, I don't remember exactly, but you know, a bunch of them gets, you know, crucified and all that. So of course we compare, we got Jack, we got Ultraman, you know, the OG, you got Seven, and then of course you got Zafy. So of course these are the 4 that were captured, you know, and trapped. And then of course you got Ace coming in to kind of try and, you know, save them. And then he's like, you know, that whole spiel. You get the idea. Here we go, all of them together. Nice. So again, the size and all, it's pretty great, you know. So that's good that they at least got that right. So, of course, I guess for a preview of the next toy review that we're going to be taking a look at, it's going to be, of course, finally the big bad himself, Yapul. And that's going to be pretty interesting because he has a crazy, like, sculpt. Like, I love the design of him. So I can't wait to go over this figure. And I'm not missing anything else, right? Nah, I think, yeah, we're good. We're good. We're just going to end it here. Yeah, because that's about it, really. There's nothing else to say. I guess. I mean, I won't be too harsh with the figure. I'll give it an okay score. I'll give it like maybe an 8 out of 10, because most of the complaints that I have, I mean, I kind of did exaggerate a little bit. You know, I know that the paint is not like, it's not horrible and it's not bad. It's just weird, honestly. I can't really say for sure, you know, how I feel about it. And obviously the biggest issue I have is with the back. That's the biggest thing right there. And like I said, it's very unfortunate to say that it's definitely going to get a lot more worse later on. I mean, we're literally talking like another Uvula situation, if you know what I mean. I mean, please, I beg of you, check out my toy reviews, because, you know, I always try to put as much information as I can. Sculpt wise, fine. You know, I mean, the hand thing, all right, it's okay. You know, it's not good, it's not great, but you know, it is what it is. But I'll be soft with it for this time. I'll give it a decent score. Again, 8 out of 10. I'll set it there. You know, it's not the worst figure ever. It's not. I still recommend you get it, because I mean, it's a classic foe. Why wouldn't you? So yeah, that's about it. So of course, going over the roster of toy reviews that we got in the future, a lot of people voted to, you know, they in the future for the movie Monster Series Godzilla lineup. So I definitely got a lot of big plans for that, like really big plans. I know I've been teasing that for a while, even though the poll only has like 12 votes as of now. I mean, that's fine. That's okay with me, honestly. I think that's enough for the most part. Of course, the next toy review is going to be, of course, you know, Yapul, another Ultraman figure. As for the He-Man stuff, still kind of debating when I should do those. Obviously, I want to do as many toy reviews as possible, but I don't want to clog up the schedule a little bit too much, if that makes sense. So until then, as always, thank you guys for watching. Same as always. And until then, see you next time. Peace.